Surprised your Ravens fell short.
Well, Wilds, as you guys know, last week and going into the weekend, I was very confident.
Yeah.
I put a fresh coat of dye in my hair for today's victory lap.
It looks great.
I mean, I wasn't fooling nobody. Everybody knew, right?
I didn't know. I feel betrayed.
But then, as the game approached, I began to think about some things, Nick. Like, they're 8-8.
Yeah.
They haven't played good football all year. And then, at the beginning of the third quarter, their best defensive player, Kyle Hamilton, gets hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, really, sadly, Wilds, I'm not surprised. I'm gobsmacked! Thunderstruck! A brother is stupefied. I can't believe they let it go, Wilds. They had it in the bag. Enough of this. The box.
Oh, the box.
The box.
Listen.
Look, I'll be quick.
7 minutes in.
The bottom line is this. The Ravens have done, or did last night, Nick, what they have done for the last few years, the last 3 years when I've been picking them and rooting for them and all that, they found a way to lose.
Correct.
That's really what it boils down to. First, you had this, or I believe we have the video of the Steelers tush-push play. Now, if you can look, I don't know if we can slow it down, look at it closer. The Ravens aren't even set.
Yeah, they not, what?
How in the world? And the quarterback, he goes right over where they're like going all over the place. I mean, what in the world is this?
Taken out by a.
You're like, what is that? How you gonna stop it when you're like not even paying attention, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to set up. All right, that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two,
Yeah.
Awuzie on the touchdown pass from Aaron
He fell
Rodgers. He slips. Again, I'm not sure. Can we zero in on where he just
right here.
gets juked and slips?
That was an accident, though.
Oh, okay. Well, none of the other 32 teams seem to have accidents like this in huge moments.
He might have just broke his ankles in that one, I'll say.
Okay.
All right. And then, of course, everyone has seen it now ad nauseum.
Yeah.
A 44-yard field goal attempt. And I know, Nick, some are saying, they should have ran Derrick Henry to get a little closer. I agree with John Harbaugh on this, that, and I don't, 99.9% Henry doesn't fumble. But in the small percentage or chance that he does, then you're getting crushed. And it's not like it was a 54-yarder. It was a 44-yarder. And any NFL kicker should be able to make that kick. I get it as pressurized, but that's where you live as a kicker. And so they just found a way to lose the game.
So let me start there, and then let me go micro to macro on that end of game sequence. You guys have heard me say this about 10 different things, 100 different times when we talk about football. It's one of the reasons I love the NFL, and I love the small sample size nature of it. Everything matters.
Yes.
In every part of your season, everything matters. Derrick Henry fumbling in September might have cost them this game in January. Because had Derrick Henry not fumbled in those big spots early in the year, then maybe with 14 seconds left, one timeout, sitting on a 41-yard field goal at the time for a rookie kicker who had already kicked the ball out of bounds and gotten yelled at by Lamar Jackson for it, John Harbaugh would have said, you know what, let's give us a chance to make it from a 41-yarder to a 34-yarder, or maybe a 0-yarder, because Derrick Henry's known to pop a run every now and again.
Sure.
But I think because of the fumbling, and Derrick Henry's been brilliant all year. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He
hasn't been a fumbler throughout his career. But I think that maybe sticks
Possible.
in your mind. So everything matters.
And bottom line, they probably aren't fighting for their playoff life if
Not
he
for
doesn't
that.
fumble
But
against
I'm
Buffalo.
saying even if they had the exact same record, the exact same spot, but Henry hadn't had some high leverage fumbles throughout the season,
Right.
maybe they run the ball there, because it wasn't just that they were sitting on a 41-yarder. They went backwards to a 44-yarder. It's in notoriously the single hardest stadium to kick in football that you have just seen one of the best kickers somehow miss an extra point. So there's that. That's the micro. Right. The macro is, in Week 18, they were who they have been all year long. A defense that for part of the game was awesome, and part of the game was awful, but the whole game couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. An offense that at times makes plays where you're like, yeah, that's the only player in the league that can make that play. And oh my God, and Derrick Henry's his running back.
Great running back.
And then at times goes totally dormant. A team that is not super highly penalized, but man, the penalties seem to all come. They don't seem to have a lot of meaningless, who cares penalties. And to go back to the
they
decision.
almost had one on that, or they had one on that last possession.
Absolutely.
That could have cost them an attempt at
the Jawan Taylor Memorial illegal formation by the tackle. And then a coach who can get oddly, I think, conservative in weird spots, which was to me the center the ball, not run Derrick Henry. But again, I'm not killing him specifically for that. But this is who the Ravens are.
Precisely. This fundamentally encapsulates the Ravens' identity. The commentary appears to reference their historical tendencies, though the timeline is somewhat ambiguous regarding whether it pertains to recent seasons. This ambiguity arises because last season they ranked among the league's most penalized teams, a point I criticized extensively. I am uncertain of their current standing this season regarding infractions, as the assertion that they don't get penalized a lot contradicts last year's reality, where they were frequently flagged. A contest such as this inevitably draws parallels to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs' sustained excellence over an extended period stems not solely from Patrick Mahomes' brilliance, Andy Reid's strategic genius, Steve Spagnuolo's defensive schemes, or Travis Kelce's playmaking. While those elements are crucial for reaching Super Bowls and AFC championship games, their dynasty is equally built upon meticulous attention to granular details. Avoiding catastrophic penalties, converting essential field goals, securing possession. These minutiae form the championship foundation. The Ravens' defensive performance was far from terrible, contrary to some assertions. They sustained injuries, yet Aaron Rodgers delivered phenomenal throws. Yes, a defender slipped on a pivotal play. Upon multiple reviews, one could argue his ankles were broken, or perhaps he simply lost footing. If it was a slip, it's an unfortunate, random occurrence inherent to the sport. This game necessitates a proper analytical framework. It's tempting to claim, if not for that single play, we win. Sports, particularly football, are uniquely challenging in this regard, because each snap is a discrete, isolated event. The game essentially pauses, a play is executed, and then it resets. This contrasts with continuous flow sports like basketball or soccer, and differs from baseball, where activity persists between pitches. In football, everything halts. Substitutions occur, officials position themselves, and we hyper-focus on these individual moments. When watching games with others, I often hear, if so-and-so hadn't fumbled in the first quarter, we'd be leading by 10 now. My response is always, that fumble occurred in the first quarter. We're now in the fourth. The entire game's context has irrevocably changed. If that fumble hadn't occurred in the end zone, resulting in a touchdown, the subsequent play calling for both teams would have diverged completely. The butterfly effect in action. It's challenging to isolate a single play. A missed extra point, a botched field goal, a fumble. These objectively have monumental impacts. It is factually true that converting that field goal wins the game. Yet, one must also question, should the contest have hinged on that singular kick? What about preceding missed opportunities? What about offensive stagnation in the second quarter? When you zoom out further to the season's entirety, should an entire campaign culminate in a last-second field goal on the final regular season snap merely to secure a playoff berth? The resounding answer is no. We can cite injuries and other mitigating factors. However, they performed commendably with a backup quarterback. Why wasn't that level of execution present earlier? What was the preceding strategy? The underutilization of Derrick Henry is equally perplexing. Even with Lamar Jackson compromised by injury, alternative pathways to victory existed. Opportunities to be more competitive were present. Consequently, the Ravens do not receive the benefit of the doubt afforded to certain other franchises. Perhaps only the Chiefs, honestly. With Kansas City, the narrative accepts, we were injured, our quarterback missed games, our defense struggled. That is considered part of their story. Under normal circumstances, such explanations might suffice, but when evaluating the Ravens' totality, 2023, 2024, 2025, a pattern emerges. In 2023, Zay Flowers fumbled at the goal line by committing a fundamental error, reaching the ball out, a mistake coached against at the peewee level. It was an unforced error, compounded by an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. The refusal to establish a rushing attack left Lamar Jackson isolated. They scored only 10 points while their defense limited the opponent to 17. In 2024, the theme persists. Players slipping, fundamental breakdowns, failure to leverage Derrick Henry in crucial situations, again isolating Jackson, leading to turnovers. All quarterbacks, including Mahomes, commit turnovers, even in playoffs. Yet, when Jackson orchestrates a potential comeback, it's undermined by dropped passes and fumbles. Even in that scenario, Ravens fans engage in revisionist history. Approximately 90 seconds remained, with the Bills possessing multiple timeouts. The onus would have shifted to the Baltimore defense to secure a stop, a hallmark of championship teams like the Chiefs. I previously produced content discussing how Drew Brees highlighted that Mahomes' legendary comebacks are often facilitated by critical defensive stands. The Chiefs excel in those moments. The Ravens would have been tasked with a similar feat. Expressing confidence is one thing, but that confidence carries little weight without a proven track record. I would not have been surprised if Josh Allen drove for a game-winning field goal. Even if the two-point conversion had been successful, victory was not guaranteed. There is no rational basis for such confidence because the Ravens have not earned that benefit of the doubt. Recall the pivotal moment in the AFC Championship game. A critical third down requiring a stop against Mahomes. Andy Reid dialed a perfect play. Patrick Mahomes executed a perfect throw. Game iced. Season over. The Ravens have consistently failed to demonstrate the capacity to manage micro-level details in such moments, as the commentary regarding macro versus micro suggests. They have not proven they can win at the granular, detail-oriented level. Objectively, that final field goal attempt should have been for a tie, not a win, due to a missed extra point earlier. One cannot dismiss the missed extra point while simultaneously emphasizing the missed field goal. That is a logical contradiction. Even the significant plays that positioned the Ravens for a potential victory relied overwhelmingly on Lamar Jackson's individual brilliance, evading pressure, connecting with Zay Flowers. Yet, in those definitive, must-have moments, my mind fixates on the contrast. The play against the Chiefs where Mahomes' throw was perfect, but so was the play design. In these monumental junctures, elite teams consistently dial the correct play. The Ravens simply do not. You possess a brilliantly talented quarterback in Lamar Jackson. As the commentary noted, after a Derrick Henry run left them in second and long, the analyst observed, "This is not where the Ravens want to be. They struggle in these situations." And he was precisely correct. Daniel Jones or Tua Tagovailoa might struggle in such moments. The Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson should not. It's universally easier to operate from 2nd and 5 or 3rd and 3. The analyst vocalized a palpable truth. 2nd and 10 was a precarious situation for them, and his observations were consistently validated. They appeared uncertain how to proceed. How many of their pass plays develop into completions within a standard 3 to 4 second post-snap window? How often is it merely a basic hike and throw operation? The run game is essentially hike and handoff. The fact they have failed to develop a consistently devastating run-pass option, RPO scheme, featuring Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson is baffling. An effective RPO creates paralyzing hesitation. Will Lamar keep it? Will he pull it and throw? Will Henry receive the handoff? The Eagles' utilization of Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley under Kellen Moore was masterful, creating defensive confusion. The Ravens, with two of the most dynamic rushing threats in the sport, have not unlocked this dimension. It is profoundly disappointing. Instead, their offense often devolves into a binary choice: hand off to Henry or have Lamar improvise. The game I witnessed last night was a familiar narrative, one I've observed repeatedly. It is indeed a bitter conclusion. Those are my reflections. I am exceedingly eager to hear yours. What are your perceptions of the Baltimore Ravens? Are you astonished by their shortfall? Where does responsibility lie for this defeat? How do you rationalize a loss of this nature? Share your viewpoints in the comments below. I read every single comment. Whether you concur or dissent, let's engage in dialogue. Let's have spirited debates, but ultimately, let's enjoy the discourse. Please consider subscribing. We are cultivating a phenomenal community here and would be delighted for you to participate. I aim to construct something we all feel a genuine connection to, something we are authentically excited to be part of. I believe we are making significant progress toward that goal. Please also remember to approve this video. It genuinely enhances visibility and assists the platform's algorithm. Thank you immensely.